when we're looking at the situation of self-destructive behaviors and self-injury, one of the things that we need to look at is a societal context. So, for example, in our society, we emphasize quick fix. We emphasize, it's kind of the attitude of, I want what I want and I want it now, and I want it quickly. And then we get impatient when it doesn't happen. So it is a little bit more of a superficiality effect when it comes to our society and as it relates to cutting and other self-destructive behaviors. We've also become a nation of labels. So addiction and alcoholics and things like that. We've become a nation of labels, and then unfortunately when we are labeling these students, or when the students are labeling themselves, i.e. cutter, names of that nature, then it creates a box for them that makes it more difficult for them to get out of.
When referring to this population, you should try to use language like this. I have someone in my classroom that self-injures, or I have a student who is engaging in hitting themselves or hurting themselves, rather than using the label of cutter. Given that many of these students are in the adolescent development stage of identity formation, it is paramount that we don't create a false narrative for them to assume that their identity is that of cutter. But it does make them more difficult to separate the behavior from the identity.
The next piece of cultural consideration is the informational communication versus affective communication. What I mean by that is many times in families, we're very busy. It's just a very busy time for all of us. And so when we pick up our children from school or when we come home from work, we have what I call informational conversations. For example, how did you do on the exam? What time is your soccer match? Bring your laundry down from downstairs and we'll have dinner at 6. So it is the informational communication that we have versus affective communication, which is more emotional in nature. For instance, when we ask our students or we ask our own children, how was school? Typically the answer is, it was fine, it was fine. And then we don't dig deeper for the information, we stay at the informational level.
Having emotional conversations with a child is very important because they are losing the ability to connect with their feelings and how to express themselves using their emotional words. That's why having effective communication is important to help them develop those skill sets rather than creating the superficial solution of cutting, burning, or the quick fix.